So the metro areas of Minnesota are currently in a de facto state of siege. Here's some of the worst reports that I've seen so far. On Tuesday night in the Whittier neighborhood in South Minneapolis, a heavily armed ICE special response team, this is the same team that was involved in the Renee Good shooting, attempted to execute a warrant at a multifamily housing complex. Now this incident is very similar to what we saw in that apartment complex in Chicago. Unlike actual law enforcement, these wannabe soldiers used flashbang grenades to breach the entry despite the presence of families. Neighbors were alerted to this by the Whistle Network. When they then tried to document the arrest, these agents fired pepper balls at them. This resulted in respiratory injuries for at least 2 people. Also on Tuesday, a team of ICE and Border Patrol agents led by Greg Bovino entered a Target store in Richfield without a warrant. For this one, you may have seen the video. Agents tackled and violently detained 2 employees who were U.S. citizens. One of them was beaten up and then dropped in another parking lot when they found out he was a citizen. Another incident on Tuesday night, protesters gathered outside of the Graduate by Hilton Hotel, believing that federal agents were staying there. And federal agents moved in quick with riot gear and just started taking people down. Now, the Metro Transit Union president is reporting that agents have been witnessing and engaging in ripping people out of their cars and using excessive force at bus stops. And then they took these people and just left their vehicles abandoned in traffic. Just tonight on Wednesday, federal agents shot a man in the leg during a traffic stop in North Minneapolis. During the stop, agents deployed smoke and flashbang grenades. Witnesses report the man was shot while agents were attempting to detain him. ICE is trying to say he had a weapon, but witnesses are saying he didn't. And now they're targeting organizers and they're pulling them over and detaining them with their federal mobile teams. These are not immigrants. They're not terrorists. They're protest organizers. And now the ACLU is reporting that even legal observers are being targeted. They're saying that there's reports of car windows being smashed while observers were inside their vehicles, and specific threats of arrest for those filming the agents. So much for the First Amendment. Now, there's all kinds of things going on. I'm sure you've heard some of these. You may not have heard some of the others. But it's important that we keep sharing so that people know what's going on and amplifying our Minnesota creator friends. The Los Angeles area was probably targeted first because there's a ton of immigrants here. And it's in California, which red states aren't too fond of. So they wouldn't get much pushback and they could test things out here. And they were right. The only pushback they really got were from us Californians and not even our leadership. We were the testing ground. And then Chicago. Chicago is targeted for obvious reasons. They have been grooming conservatives on this for years. Conservatives think you'll get shot just walking down the street in Chicago. Now, Minnesota is the worst we've seen so far. One, because it's a smaller city than the others, and they're using an even more overwhelming force. And so everybody in the city is feeling it. And they've ramped up their tactics, obviously. This city was chosen for one reason: Black Lives Matter. For conservatives, Minnesota was ground zero for riots that tore apart every major city. George Floyd happened just a few blocks from Renee, and so it's the city that started the fire. The good news for us is that he chose Minnesota, because you people in Minnesota are incredible. I'm seeing the kind of fight in you and assault in 2020 that we need from everybody in this country. I'm so sorry that you're being put through this, but thank you for fighting for us. This won't end. There will be occupying forces in your city before you know it, especially if you live in a blue state. The mask is off, and we need to follow the good people of Minnesota's lead.